Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And make sure to type them on the chat box on the right top corner of your screen. You're going to see the chat button there. So you're going to be learning a lot about what we're going to talk about today. So try to have a little patience as information comes in and you're able to acquire more substance in order to form yourselves with good questions. I am going to introduce myself for all of you who might not know me, although I'm seeing a lot of friendly faces. My name is Juan Dario Gutierrez. I'm going to join you today with Felipe Gutierrez, who also you're just seeing. We're the co-founders, along with Daniel, our third brother, of Gutierrez Group, the multi-family office that services international clients living and or investing in Colombia from 3 different standpoints. We offer legal, we offer real estate, and we offer investment advisory. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I see that there are a lot of friendly faces, familiar faces here, and that makes me incredibly proud. I know my brothers feel the same way. And the reason why that's the case is because I know the reason why people stick with us, like to stay with us. And that's not because we offer crazy returns that are, look very bright and glossy in presentations, but end up being just more broken promises and poor results because of lack of structure. The reason why people like to stick with us and are loyal to us is because we treat them right. Quite frank and simple. We are truthful to them. We under-promise and we always over-deliver. That's easier said than done, but I'll tell you what, that's always been our motto since we started our company many years ago. And it's what has worked with us. And basically, we have no reasons to change. What we're going to do today with you is demonstrate you once more that we're in this business not to make a quick buck and disappear. There's plenty of examples of people that have done that, and you can just talk to your peers and learn about it. We're in the business of building mutually beneficial and long-lasting and incredibly interconnected and meaningful relationships that can last for decades and can transcend money, quite frankly. Anybody can make money in times of abundance. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's really in times of hardship when the hard work and the ethics and the solid structuring that we are known for really pay off tremendously. And it is also in terms of hardship that an asset like the one we're going to talk about today becomes incredibly interesting, because think about it. If things aren't going well, and say, for instance, the real estate market takes a dip and there's nobody selling, or even worse, buying, what we're going to talk about today, which is timber, still grows. Trees are growing. If same happens with the stock market and it just plummets and nobody's trading, trees keep growing. And if economy as a whole take a hit and then some businesses go down, trees don't go down. Trees are growing and they continue to stand still and gain value. So what we're going to talk about today is precisely that, the opportunity of timber. And for that purpose, without further ado, let me introduce you once again to Felipe. Felipe is one of the 3 brothers that founded Gutierrez Group. He is our CEO and in charge of our entire timber project. We're going to be providing you with the very exciting news of our investment in timber. And I'll let him take it from here.
Great milestones that we have accomplished during the past few years is that we already obtained the Forest Stewardship Council certification, which is the most important certification there is for a forestry project. We have already obtained CO2 bonds or carbon credits, and we have even already sold these carbon credits to local and international companies. It is important for you to know that we're also capturing 40,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year now, a much more relevant figure than what we mentioned in the video, which was at least 25% of that. And in any case, this is here are what we think are the most important aspects of this project and why we believe that this is a very good investment. First of all, it is a profitable investment. We're projecting an annualized return as from 16% per year using highly conservative criteria when it comes to the price at which we expect to sell our timber, which is the current price, the volume of timber that we expect to obtain at harvest, and also very importantly, the exchange rate at which we expect to sell. We're actually using 3,000 pesos per dollar in our projections, while today, as many of you know, we will get much more than that because the USD is currently at 4,000 pesos per dollar. Secondly, it is an environmentally friendly investment, as proven with the different certifications that we have obtained, such as the FSC, which is the one that allows us to sell the timber to the premium markets, or the gold standard, which is the one that allows us to obtain and resell carbon credits. Our operation on ground is also completely sustainable, and this is actually very important. We're not deforesting the land so as to insert our trees, but we're using huge savannas that lack native vegetation, flora, or fauna, and we are converting these savannas into forest plantations. Thirdly, the project is socially responsible. We are generating more than 300 direct jobs in the region alone. We employ local people, and we are making an impact on these people's lives. We even have a foundation whose job is to raise awareness about the project and about the several advantages that the project is bringing to the community. In brief, locals just love what we're doing there, and this has already become the main economic activity of the province of Bichada. It is also environmentally sustainable. As you could have seen in the video, or as you will see in the video when you take a look at it, the final purpose of the project is to convert the harvested timber into biomass in the form of wooden chips, which are used by power energy plants in different parts of the world to generate electricity. And this is a perfect replacement for different sources of fossil fuels such as oil, natural gas, or coal. Finally, this is the type of investment that will make the investor eligible to a Colombian visa, which is in often cases an additional perk for those interested in residency in this part of the world. We're gonna talk about this in greater detail at the end of the presentation. Juan Darío is the one that will tackle this issue. To sum up what you will see in the video when you open it, the project consists in buying or leasing land at very low prices, due in part to the lack of development in this region of Colombia, which is only starting to develop right now. Then planting it with fast-growing species such as acacia and eucalyptus. Then maintaining the tree farm during only 7 years, the time frame being so short precisely because of the use of the timber, which is biomass, and also thanks to the tropical weather conditions and the availability of water in this region of the country. Then, after 7 years, we harvest the wood, we convert it into biomass in the form of chips, and then we ship it to the different international markets that are interested in our product. We have two models, two ways of doing this. We have used a crowdfunded methodology, which allows us to engage different investors in a given project. And we have an individually funded model, in which case we simply fund the entire development with funds from just one or two investors. It is important for you to know that even though the price of the land is very low in this region of Colombia, developing a project of this size is something that can take us between 2 or 4 million US dollars, depending on the exact amount of acres that we decide to plant. And this is precisely why forestry investments is traditionally only available to very wealthy families or to institutional investors. it is precisely to overcome this obstacle that we created this structure, the crowdfunded model, allowing investors to jointly participate in one given project with an investment of only $40,000, which will give him a percentage of ownership in this particular project. So as you can see here, the first two projects developed in 2016 and 2017 were crowdfunded, while the projects developed during 2018 and 19 were individually funded. We can take a look at the different projects right here. This is, for instance, Colombian Timber 1, the project that we developed in 2016. You can see for itself the magnitude of such project. In this project, we entailed 43 different investors, and trees in this particular project are already reaching heights of 12 to 15 meters, or in feet, 40 to 50 feet. Then in 2017, we did a similar project. We only used a different land. We called it Colombian Timber 2. This is it. We planted it 3 years ago by also using the crowdfunded methodology. And in this project, we also entailed more than 40 different investors, some of whom participated in the first project, but most of the investors here were new investors. Then in 2018, we started developing the individual projects. We started with this one, which we called Colombian Timber 3, and which we did with a family from the US. Also in 2018, we did another project, Colombian Timber 4, also individually funded, just as Colombian Timber 5 was. In this case, we developed this project with a family from the Netherlands, with a couple of families from the Netherlands. And also during 2018, we continued to buy as much land as we could. And we bought lands where we are planning to develop further Colombian Timber projects, or more precisely, Colombian Timber 6 and 7. And lastly, last year, we developed Colombian Timber 8 with a company from the Czech Republic. We bought 3 pieces of land and we started planting them. And this is not all, because we also have a parallel, very important project, not only for Colombian Timber alone, but for the entire forestry industry in this region of Colombia. This parallel project, we call it Colombian Timber Port, and it is Colombia's very first forest report. This will be located right on the verge of the Orinoco River. This is the river. This is the Orinoco River. And it will be used to export the harvested logs of timber through the Orinoco River all the way to Trinidad and Tobago, where they will be processed and converted into cheap biomass to further be dispatched to the different international markets that we have in sight. It is important to mention, hopefully you are hearing me correctly, it is important to mention that to understand the scale of this project, and also for you to know that we are just part of a much larger, much more relevant project. We joined this industry in 2016, as I just mentioned, with Colombian Timber 1, but our forestry operator pioneered in this part of Colombia back in 2009, when they bought and developed the first 3 plantations. All of us, we all have the same goal, not just the operator, but us and the other owners of forestry lands in this region of Colombia. We all have the same goal, which is to sell to the same international buyer. Because in this industry, the volume requirements are extremely huge. They're very big. And only by joining forces amongst all of us forestry developers of the region are we able to comply with the requested volume of timber. And more importantly, are we able to comply with the continuity that they require from us. So when we close a biomass provision contract, we don't just commit to sell the one time, but we actually commit to sell a certain volume of timber every year during 10, 15, or 20 years. So this is why it is so important to keep developing new projects every single year, as we have been doing since we started back in 2016. And Also, like, it's important for you to know that in total, the group of which we make part of has more than 160,000 hectares under management, which comes to more or less 400,000 acres. So you can actually see the magnitude and the size of the projects that we're developing here in this region of Korea. This is where all of this is happening. This is what we call the Eastern Plains of Colombia. Of course, you are located. This is the country here. And over here, Bichada, this is the province where all of this is taking place right now. I'm gonna switch to Google Earth so as to explain you better. So you can see here, all of this region right here is what we call the Eastern Plains of Colombia. It is a very special region because, as opposed to the rest of the country, which is where the big cities are located, and what you probably know of the country, Medellin located right here, or the capital city, Bogota, or the cities in the Caribbean coast of the country, it is very different in this region of Colombia because the topography is completely different. So what you will find here in the Eastern Plains of Colombia is that the topography is completely flat. The land there is completely flat, as opposed to the other big cities where we have the mountains. The weather is completely tropical, and there is a lot of availability of water. Everything that you see here on green is just vegetation that grows in the verge of the hydric sources. So you can see how the potential by simply taking a look at these Google Earth images. This is one of the corners of the country. Here we have the capital city of the province of Bichada. It's called Puerto Carreño. And to the south and west of this municipality, you will find all of our plantations. You will find our main nursery located over here, and then you will find Colombian Timber 1 and Colombian Timber 2, and all of the projects that I just mentioned are located in this part right here, which is only 1 hour away from the local municipality of Puerto Carreño. And then over here, we have the land, a very important land, where we are going to be developing our very own timber port. As I mentioned, we're just part of a very large project. And if I were to show you the other lands under management by the operator, this is pretty much how it would look like. This is what is going on at this moment in this region of Colombia. You can see so many different lands under management only by the same forestry operator that we use. So this, at the end of the day, they are just one of the many forestry operators that we have in this region of Colombia. There are plenty of others that are developing their own plantations. And of course, I cannot show you those projects right here because I don't have access to that information, but this really shows you that we're not alone, and that we're just part of a much larger project. In a nutshell, this is what we have achieved so far. As mentioned, the first 2 projects were crowdfunded, Colombian Timber 1 and 2, developed in 2016 and 2017, respectively. The rest of the projects have been developed in an individual basis. We have almost 10,000 hectares under management, or 24,000 acres, where we have been able to plant more than 3.3 million trees, and counting, because the idea is to keep planting as much as we can. And we're very proud. Now let's get to it. We're very proud to show you what we have to offer right now. In 2020, we took the decision to launch our 9th project overall, Colombian Timber 9. It is only our 3rd crowdfunded project because we did those back in 2016 and 2017, but the past few years, we focused on developing individually funded projects. And this year, we decided to launch a new crowdfunded one so as to allow our investors the possibility to participate with a minimum investment of only $40,000. So obviously, this is our 9th project overall, only the 3rd crowdfunded one. And this project will be located in the very same land where our port will be located. It is a smaller project. It is important to mention. We usually plant around 900 to 1,000 hectares per year. In this case, we're only planting 400 hectares, and we do expect to plant more than 500,000 trees in this particular project. It has an estimated total cost of 4.6 billion pesos, which stands at around 1.2 million US dollars at today's exchange rate, with a minimum investment of only 150 million pesos, which comes down to actually less than $40,000 than the $40,000 that you see here, because the exchange rate is currently extremely favorable for those holding USD. Of course, investors are welcome to invest as much as they want after they hit this minimum threshold. We have 17 share packages of 150 million pesos each, out of which we already sold 6. So in total, we have 11 more share packages to go. This is what we have today to offer you, or not just today, but during the rest of the year. We have 11 share packages of 150 million pesos each. For those of you that are interested, you can gladly share all of the info via email. We have an investment prospectus, we have projection of figures, we have everything. We have the video that we were not able to show today. If you don't have an account in Colombia, that's not a problem. We'll help you get one, because you will need an account of your own in Colombia. And if you're interested in a Colombian visa, we'll also help you directly with that. We have tremendous experience in doing so, and we're actually offering a full discount in our professional fees for the first 3 investors that decide to apply to the visa by investing directly into this project. But I'll go ahead and let Juan Darío to talk about how to apply for a visa by investing in this product.
All right, thank you, Pipe. That's very interesting. So Timber is just one of the 5 different projects that we have structured at Gutierrez Group. It's an extra special one for us because apart from everything Felipe just taught us, it's the only one that also qualifies investors to residency, as Pipe just said. And I guess many of you have done your research on what it means to qualify for Colombian residency and, you know, the types of visas that the country offers. But for those of you who are not acquainted with that, let me just tell you that if you're interested in investing in Colombian Timber, there's going to be 2 different options that you can apply for per that investment. The first option is going to be a temporary visa. Anybody that invests the minimum amount, the $40,000, is going to qualify for a temporary visa. And a temporary visa is a visa that goes for 1 to 3 years max. It's renewable as many times as you'd like. And it's basically the younger sister, if you will, of what's Colombia's best type of visa, which would be your second option. And that's going to be the permanent visa, as opposed to temporary. The permanent visa is an indefinite type of visa. It has the nice little perk of qualifying you for citizenship as well, if that's of any interest for you. And the only difference is that the threshold to invest in order to apply for it or to qualify for it would need to be $145,000. So it would need to be quite a few times more than the initial $40,000 investment. And, you know, I guess people mentioned it briefly, but it's kind of hard to find any reason, any good reason of why what has happened in regards to this virus, you know, other than, of course, people being able to spend some quality time together. And then again, there's also too much quality time. But anyway, I guess one of the few things that you could say is good is the fact that the exchange rate has raised incredibly, and the US dollar has acquired enormous buying power. And in concrete, over the last, I guess, month and a half, 45 days, that buying power is almost 25% up. So if you think about it, the fact that you have 25% more buying power is concretely evidenced in this particular regard, in that if you're going to qualify for a permanent visa just in February, it would have cost you $175,000, $178,000, whereas today you're going to be able to do so by just investing $145,000. So that's a $30,000 drop, which is quite interesting, you know. And Felipe took away the surprise for me, but I'll still reiterate for you, which is we are going to offer the first 3 investors that decide to enroll in Colombian Timber throughout the month of May, and that of course have attended this webinar, full advisory on the request of the visa or the visa application process from our part. As you might imagine, Colombia has a very efficient, and you haven't imagined it, just make sure that you understand that we have a very efficient process to grant visas to foreigners. It doesn't really take more than 8-10 days for a visa to be applied to and approved. But the process, as any other immigration process, has its particularities. We are going to fully offer our advisory at no cost for the first 3 of you who decide to enroll in this particular project throughout the month of May. One thing that you ought to know about visas, a last thing I might add, is that visas are extendable to what the law calls dependents or beneficiaries, if you will. So keep in mind that if you do invest and therefore apply for and obtain a visa, you're going to be able to extend that same type of visa to your spouse, to your children under 25, and even to your parents, if that sounds interesting, just by proving your link with them. So I think we're gonna basically wrap it up here. I want to thank you, every single one of you, for attending and listening to what we had to say. Thank you very much for your patience and for your trust and your loyalty to us. As I said at the very beginning, the reason why people stick with us is because we come directly with the truth. We don't like to sugarcoat stuff. If an answer to any of the things that we do is a harsh answer, is a no, or is something that's just not fun to hear, we're still going to give it to you because that's who we are. We don't like to overpromise when we know that at the end of the day, there's just no way we're going to be able to comply with our words. We might as well just stick to whatever has worked with us, which is always be truthful, and then surprising people with the fact that we do deliver, and quite often deliver above of what we promise. So thank you very much for your time once again. We hope to see you in a new event. We're going to have these events, as we promised last year, more frequently. We're going to be talking about some other stuff, citizenship, other type of investments. And then it's always going to be nice to receive your comments and suggestions as to what we should cover on these webinars. So thank you very much. Pipe, just say your final words and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you all of you. Thanks to all of you for joining us today. Sorry for the problems that we had at the beginning with the video that we couldn't play. I send the link in the chat, and I can send it via email to all of you if you want. It is also uploaded in our Colombian Timber website. It's actually colombiantimber.com. Feel free to take a look, or feel free to reach out to me directly if you want to receive further information and if you want to be part of the project. I think that's it. We have some final questions there, but I just replied to them via chat. So I think we're good to go. Thanks again, guys, and hope to hear from you soon.